Now, you don't come across these types of novels very much. Comedies that make you think. Don Lee's Rack and Ruin is a comic farce that's a commentary on multiculturalism, art and fame, environmental degradation, sibling rivalry, and the evolution of a small town in America. Now, if that sounds like too much to wrap your head around, Don Lee is here with us today to explain it all himself. Now, to set things up for you, Rack and Ruin's main character is a Korean-American sculptor who walked away from the height of his fame to become a Brussels sprouts farmer. Now, this is Don's third appearance here on Cityline, one appearance with each new book. Welcome back to Cityline. How are you?
Good. Nice to be back.
Now, you were here for some time as editor of a famous literary journal called Plowshares.
That's right, which I did for 19 years.
And now you're living where?
I'm living in St. Paul, Minnesota. I'm teaching at Macalester College, creative writing there. But actually, I'm moving later on this summer to Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Wow.
I've got a new job teaching at Western Michigan University in the graduate program there.
Now, do you miss being an editor? You did Plowshares for so many years. Do you miss that?
You know, I don't really miss too much of it, to tell you the truth. I think I had enough. 19 years was a long time. You know, I miss working with writers. I miss the hands-on production of getting the issues out, but it was starting to get really tough raising the money to keep the thing afloat. And so there was a lot of pressure on that, and I'm happy to be on the other side and be mentoring students and young writers instead.
So let's talk about the third book. Rack and Ruin is set in a fictional semi-rural coastal California town called Rosarita Bay, which was the setting of the first book of short stories, Yellow.
That's right.
Why did you decide to return to this town?
Well, it's based on Half Moon Bay, a real town which is between San Francisco and Santa Cruz. And mostly it was because, you know, with my last book, Country of Origin, the novel, which took place in 1980 in Tokyo, it took so much research, and it was just sort of a drain. It was a dark and heavy book, and when I was on tour for it, I was in San Francisco, and I drove down to Half Moon Bay. And one thing that's always interested me about the town is that, as you say, it's very rural, and it's strange. It's only 45 minutes away from San Francisco, San Jose, but they've had the strictest anti-zoning laws in the country, or they used to. Because on this visit, I saw that there were some gated communities. There was a huge Ritz-Carlton with a golf course that was built right on the ocean. I thought,
interesting juxtaposition.
Yeah, that it was being gentrified, and I thought, this might be an interesting thing to do, to revisit that town after 7 years and the changes that are coming afoot.
Now, the main character, Lyndon Song, is a Korean-American artist who leaves fame and glory behind in New York for an anonymity in Rosarita Bay. Does he find it? Now, he was tired of too much focus on being, quote-unquote, Asian American, and felt he really couldn't get a fair shake because he was typecast as an Asian American artist. Now, is that a commentary of sorts on your feelings about multiculturalism?
It might be. You know, I think I have certainly been pigeonholed or labeled as an Asian American writer, much more so than just a pure writer.
Why does America do that?
You know, I think that it's convenient to put people in a box, to categorize
label
things. And but it's also, you know, I have to say it's also a marketing device too that comes from the publishers, that it's a way to get you on the radio or on TV shows and newspapers to talk about your particular books instead of just saying, you know, here's a short story collection, here's a new novel coming out. You know, you need to have some kind of handle on it.
Some kind of news hook, as we call it.
Exactly, right.
Now, Rack and Ruin has quite a few interesting characters in here. Let me see. It has a bit of slapstick, satire, social commentary, and philosophy. Now, some of the people in this book: an estranged brother who is a disgraced financier turned hack Hollywood producer, an aging kung fu star from Hong Kong, an emotionally hysterical mayor, and two hippies who travel the world trying to save wildlife. How in the world did all of these people come together in one book?
You know,
there's all floating around in your head there.
You know what happened was I just wrote the first chapter. I didn't really have much of an idea of where this thing was going to go. And then I finished that chapter and I realized oh, this thing is a farce. I wanted to write something that was a little lighter, that was a little more fun for me to compose, but I didn't have that intention that it was going to be this comic farce. And I didn't know whether I would be able to do it or not, if I was capable of it, because, when you think about, this is what I teach in my classes about story structure. The classic structure is what they call Freytag's pyramid. And you initiate it, you have rising action, it reaches a climax, and there's falling action and denouement. But the problem with the farce is that you ratchet right up to the climax, and then you got to maintain it or possibly even top yourself for the whole thing. And I thought, wow, I don't know if I can do this or not, but somehow I was able to keep it. I mean, it was a high wire act the entire time of maintaining that level, yeah,
that pace,
right.
that pacing,
that kind of goofiness and craziness.
Speaking about pacing, there's an incredible scene in the book, a windsurfing chase scene.
Right.
How did you come up with that?
Which my publisher, puts out in the promotional materials as the first windsurfing scene in literature. But it was because I'm a windsurfer. I've been an avid windsurfer for about 11 years, and I stopped by Davenport Landing, which is a real place. And I was just watching these guys there who are so good. I mean, way beyond my capability. And it's a really hairy place to sail, and it just kind of fit together naturally. I have a Korean American director named Dalton Lee in the novel, and it just seemed to come together.
Yes, it has. Another wonderful and interesting book, Don. I just can't imagine what your writing schedule must be like to come up with this, but we've enjoyed having you here to talk about this book too.
Thank you very much. Okay. I've enjoyed it too.
Now, Don has a website. It is called don-lee.com, and you can even check out some pictures of Don windsurfing to get an idea of how he got inspired to write that chase scene. Thanks to all of you for watching today. We hope to see you again next week. Bye-bye.